Namaskar and welcome to this exciting episode of Sattology, debunking mythology. Sattology means science of truth or study of truth. Opposite of that is mythology, which means science or study of fake lie imagination. So we have been discussing so many topics. You have seen our Hindi viewership also grow, but unfortunately it's not that much. Our English shows are more popular than the Hindi shows because they are meant for the Western audience as well as English speaking people around the world. One of the things that we added during 2022 was two courses, debunking mythology course, which was revamped, and also the Yoga Sutra course, which was launched brand new. So please do join those courses and let us know. And do share and like this video. I have very special guest today, Colonel Khatana, who wrote a book on Hindu terror. Last time he came, the internet quality was not that good. And we again have got him here on some other topics, but we'll touch some of those topics also. So let us welcome Colonel Khatana. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So today, one of the things which was coming to my mind was, and you can answer because you have been part of the Indian intelligence community. So if Ukraine, the amount of pressure the West put on Ukraine, and if similar amount of pressure, it's a hypothetical question, if similar pressure was put on India, if was engaged in a war with Pakistan or China, how would India would have tackled that pressure?
You see, India would have tackled almost in the similar way as Ukraine has tackled, as Russia has tackled this war. The point is, a point comes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you
Hello.
clearly. Yes, go ahead.
You see the how India would have handled it. Let me tell you.
Your video is
Two
off.
things.
Your video is off. Uh, yes, now it is okay. Yeah,
I
yes.
cannot see your.
Yeah, it will come. You're on the full screen. Yes.
Okay. Uh, how India? You asked me how India would have tackled the war if it were the same scenario against Pakistan or any other country, China, let's say, for example. You see, any country, when it when a war it undertakes a war or the war is forced on a country, any war is started to win it. That is the DNA of armed forces all over the world, of all the professional armies. India would have tackled it very competently because we have a very professional army. We have been fighting wars since the time of not only independence, even let's say starting from First World War to Second World War, we participated in both the wars. We fought 48 war, we fought 62 war, we fought 65 wars, we fought 71 war, we fought in Sri Lanka. Then there was a uh, Kargil war. These are the wars which we fought. It is not only these wars. India is a big country. We have number of uh, places where insurgency has been in vogue for last 70 years. So Indian army is professional army which is very well trained, and officer cadre is very dedicated, competent and professional and has a war experience. You see, war experience is very essential when you join a war. You know how situation may develop, you know what needs to be done. Unfortunately, in case of Ukraine war, the Russia did not fight a war after Second World War, except a brief interlude when they fought in Afghanistan and they had to leave it. Like US had to leave Afghanistan, or let's say US had to leave Vietnam. We never, India never left a war unless it reached its conclusion. We only came back from Sri Lanka when LTT was largely subdued, and Sri Lanka government did not want us there. So we came back because it was a peacekeeping force. We did not go there to occupy territory. So India would have handled it differently, and India would have done a much better job than what is being done in Ukraine.
Yes, go ahead. Yes. So,
So India would have handled it more competently.
so
Is
just
my point.
yeah, just say like a housekeeping question. Like if you are facing like my screen goes with the logo, that means you're on the full screen.
Okay, okay, all right.
Okay. So point is like sometimes we hear this information that see India has won military battles. On the military, they have won a lot of things. But on the diplomatic table, they lose everything. Like vacating the Kailash Heights, vacating Lahore, vacating all the military wins that they had, even not even claiming Lhasa. Lhasa is a Vedic, it's a Hindu city
True,
in
true,
Tibet.
true, true,
I mean, they
true.
have
But that's
vacated.
a political. Sorry for intervening. That's a political decision. You see, army has to obey the dictate of government of the day. We should not had. I am in total agreement with you. We should not had vacated Kailash range because that was a big leverage point which India had. We vacated it, but then we never question. It's a democracy. We never question the decisions of the government. As far as diplomacy is concerned, we have the best Minister of External Affairs in last 70 years. I'm sure you must have heard whatever Jaishankar has spoken here in India or whenever he travels abroad in US and Europe. A case in point is when he was visiting Europe some time ago, he was asked a question. He says, despite all the sanctions imposed by NATO and US, you people are still importing oil from Russia. And the Jaishankar replied, he says, we import oil from Russia, and what we import in 30 days, you are still importing in 1 day from Russia. And lot many other statements which he has given abroad. So we have now a very well-oiled and competent Ministry of External Affairs, which was not the case earlier, because earlier we generally used to keep quiet and we never gave state answers, and we were always very careful that uh, country A or country B or country C should not get annoyed or angry by our mere statements. Those things have now changed to a large extent, and as we were talking earlier, uh, we did make mistakes in political decisions, like Lahore could have been occupied in 65. Uh, we should not have sided with China when they occupied Tibet in 59. We not only sided with China, we in fact we went to the extent of giving them rice when they were moving to Tibet. And likewise, after we took over 93,000 prisoners of war in 71 war, we could have resolved Kashmir issue permanently. But I do not know, for the reasons best known. Mrs. Gandhi sent them back, and we did not bargain for anything. So those kind of things do happen. But then, being an army and being a democratic country, army is bound by the decisions taken by the government of the day, by the political leadership.
Coming to the very hot topic nowadays. In every channel is being discussed, but generally the Indian views are not discussed much. Even the Indian channels report the Western version. I mean, they do not go to the actual reason of the war and why the war started. And since we are discussing only academically, no, not politically, so the amount of promises that were made to Soviet Union in 91, when the Western democracies destroyed Soviet Union through financial pressure and through Gorbachev. And in fact, you must very much you must have observed that Gorbachev was given a silent burial. There was no state ceremony because
Yes,
Russians did not like what Gorbachev did to their country.
they
And we
didn't.
and since then the Minsk Accord happens, and we recently heard the statement of Angela Merkel when she said that, oh, it was just a strategy to get Russians to extract maximum from Russians. Now, with all this background, will Russia or even forsake India or any other country of the world ever trust Europeans?
Let me tell you a few things. You see, uh, Gorbachev had the understanding with the US that NATO will not expand. NATO had, I think, 11 or 12 countries then. But then in due course, it became 2 dozen countries. And the time came when Ukraine started making noises to become member of NATO, which is just next door to Russia. You see, no country will accept deployment of nuclear arsenal on its doorstep. If Ukraine becomes a member of NATO, and if nuclear arsenal is deployed there, nuclear missiles are deployed in Ukraine, it will just take few minutes for the missile to hit Moscow. Now, who will accept that? No one will accept that because if a missile is fired, it takes some time before the missile is identified or measures are taken to neutralize it. It does not give the missile deployment in Ukraine does not give that much of time to Russia. That was one thing. Second thing was Russia. In 2014, I think 14, when the regime in Ukraine was changed, and we made a person who had no political experience. He was just an actor. He was a comedian, and you suddenly made him the president. And who made him? The US made him. Then the moment he was made president, he started lot of excesses in the areas where you have in the neighborhood of uh, Russia, in Donbass area where there are Russian speaking people, and Russia gave many warnings, but they were not heeded to. Let me tell you, you have now the US and Europeans have imposed sanctions on Russia, which are much more than all other sanctions combined put on all other countries, including North Korea and Iran and other countries, partly China also, because that high tech gadgetry. In fact, Biden has put, before that, even Trump had put a lot of sanctions on Chinese. All these sanctions put together, the Russia has sanctions which were never seen anywhere in the world before this. My only fear is if you push him to the wall, he will have no other course but to retaliate. And if he retaliates, that will be very bad not only for Russia and US and Europe, but the whole world. Militarily, economically, and socially. And it may lead to Third World War, and it may also lead to nuclear war, which will be uh, almost, you can say, may lead to destruction of the whole world. It's a very scary scene. The efforts must be made. starting with US, who is now providing Patriot missiles to uh, Ukraine and training Ukraine army personnel in US. You are taking this war to a level where it will be very, very difficult for Putin to accept it. He has, he must have a face saving in this complete thing. He must have a face saving. The efforts, diplomatic efforts, must be made to reach a compromise between Russia and Ukraine, and more between Russia and US, and between Russia and uh, Europe. Certain understandings which were reached earlier have not been, the words have not been kept by US and by the Europe. So at this point in time, the situation remains grim, and it is going from bad to worse. Uh, Recently, just about a week back, uh, Russia had changed. Putin had changed his general who is now looking after Ukraine war. Missiles are being fired every day. The war is escalating slowly but surely. There does not, at this point in time, there does not seem to be any willingness on the part of US to or the Europe to reach any kind of understanding with the Russia to put a stop to this war. It has been now 10 months. It will be 11 months shortly. No war goes on that long. It is a sorry state of affairs. If the war stops today, it will take at least 3 decades for Ukraine to reconstruct and reach the state it was when the war started with Russia. Now, that's not good for anybody. The world economy is suffering. World economy for 3 years suffered because of COVID. Now, this war is taking economy down. You see the economic growth of any European country. It is not more than 2-3%. In some cases, it is just 1%. So it will lead nowhere. It is not only that Ukraine is suffering, the whole world is suffering because of the Ukraine war. COVID is more or less over now, but the Ukraine war is as bad for the economy. So the measures must be taken to reach some kind of agreement between all parties. In fact, Prime Minister Modi of India made this statement uh, just about a month ago that this is not the era of wars. We have reached a stage where you know that it serves no purpose. No uh, decision was ever reached its conclusion by any war. At the end of the day, you have to sit down on the table, negotiate, and finish it off. The war is never the answer. It is just unfortunate.
The common saying that this is not an era of the war, but this is Kali Yuga. This is an era of the war. Yeah, people will fight for no reason. That's what. See, the thing is, people are raising you use the word the world. Now, if you look at the Western analysts and the mainstream Western uh, academics, for them, the world is just Europe and US. That's everything is a colony.
True.
Just like in the US, the 13 states are the original USA, the first 13 states. Rest everything is colony, including California. So this is the way some old people think, and this is the narrative which goes out. So if the US thinks like something, that means the world should also think like that. And that's what Foreign Minister of India, Jaishankar, demolished, that European problems are European problems, not world problems. Europe has to come
Correct.
out of that mindset. Very strong word, but this was a deep word, deep sentence for many Western people, that they have to fight their wars alone. Now, in the nuclear exchange, what I'm being told and what I've studied in some independent journals is that it affects the area of 1,000 square kilometers generally. Any nuclear device, if we are talking about anything more than 100 kilotons, it affects 100 megatons, something or something like that, affects a local area. And please forgive me, I don't have much knowledge about the megatons and kilotons and the impact, but generally 1,000 square kilometer of area it affects. So US is a large territory. It's going to be very localized to US. And Europe is
No,
also large.
sorry for intervening. No, if there's a nuclear war, it will not be localized, and missiles will not, nuclear missiles, ICBMs, will not take on one target or two targets. It will be story to finish.
Yeah,
US today has 4,600 some nuclear weapons. Russia has more than 5,000. They are all functional. If it comes to that stage, it will be the total destruction, 100%. It is not that you will take on few targets, then you will destroy the country per se. And these uh, nuclear weapons held by uh, US and by Russia will destroy the entire continent. Forget about one or two or three countries. And the effect of nuclear weapon, the radiation and the destruction which it will cause, will not vanish within a decade. It will take decades and decades and decades before that effect is gone. So it will be the end story. If there is a nuclear war, it will be, we talk of tactical weapons. Tactical weapons are basically used in the battlefield. Like, let's say Russia decides to use a nuclear missile against Ukraine. It will be a tactical weapon. Tactical weapon, what you are talking, the tactical weapon which takes on certain area, let's say 2 kilometers, 3 kilometers, 4 kilometers. But if it is a nuclear war, it will be total destruction of, I'm telling you, of US, Europe, and Russia.
see, the thing is, like, I have heard this many times from many people, and you're also saying the same thing. See, the thing is, there is no desire on the West to stop the war. There's no desire on the West because the company stock markets are going up, people are making more money, and they're trying to push as much as they can before the nuclear war so that the nuclear war doesn't happen, or push as much as they can. And they are all prepared to use as well. Russia has already said, it's not just President Putin, but everybody else has said it also, where they are very sure that if the survival of Russian country is at stake, they will use it. They've clearly said it. And
Any country will use it. If my survival is at stake, I will also use it. Any country will, because that is what the weapons are meant for.
yes, so they have said it very well. They have said, and but the West is just going ahead, and you can see the consistent arming by the European states on Ukrainian for Ukrainians, and where people do not mention that within Ukraine, Ukraine was almost like Pakistan. Pakistan
You
also
know,
kills their
you,
own people, and
you
Ukraine
know,
was also killing.
there is something. You heard of Charge of Light Brigade? There is a poem also, Charge of Light Brigade.
Your video
It
is off.
happened in Charge of Light Brigade. Cannons were to the left of them, cannons were to the right of them.
Yeah, Khatana ji,
Uh,
your video is off. Your video is off. Yes, yes, go ahead.
you heard of Charge of Light Brigade? The Tennyson poem also? The cannons were to the left of them, cannons were to the right of them. 600 road. It was a attack which a brigade had made, and most of them died in the battle. It is at that time one of the, I forget the name, the French admiral uh, said, he says, "What a foolishness." My point is, if you see the state of common people in Germany or in other European countries, there is no energy. It is too much of cold. The inflation is taking place. The normal life of citizens is becoming difficult. They better consider it. If they do not consider it is only their own people who are suffering. It is not only Russians who are suffering. The Europe is suffering as much. And see the economic fall down of this. The Nord Stream gas, which was sabotaged, and I have reasons to believe it was sabotaged by CIA. Right? The Germany has suffered. Why Germany? Number of other European countries who used to get gas from uh, that stream, they have suffered. So it is foolishness to continue with it. I mean, they are not gaining anything out of it. What do they want from Russia? Russia is not going to back down now. If Russia backs down, it is a finished story for Russia, and absolutely a finished story for Putin. Putin cannot survive if he accept these humiliating conditions. It will be something like the Treaty of Versailles after First World War. You have to reach an agreement and understanding where it is a win-win situation for all. I mean, Putin can never agree for Ukraine to become member of NATO and have the nuclear missiles on its doorstep. He is a president of this country, and he cannot afford to be seen as defeated by any standard. It has to be a win-win situation for Europe, for US, and for Russia. And nothing goes. You see, it is. I would consider it is Europe and US are more at fault. Why do they want to expand NATO with the threat now? They should be thinking of China, not of Russia. You see, the threat for the humanity will be by China, not by Russia. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear
Hello.
you. I can hear you. So,
Okay. The threat will be from China, not from Russia.
no, but again, we know the history of China very well. We know from Mahabharata, China used to pay taxes to India. Hastinapur. Chin was a province of Hastinapur, one of the province. Khasa tribe, Khasa. So the question is now with Europe, generally the West. West is the only military alliance left in the world, NATO. And there is
Correct.
and naturally others are going to create a military alliance also, because NATO has set a precedent where they are a military alliance. It's a quasi international military alliance because it is outside the UN Charter. It is not the United Nations peacekeeping force. It is NATO is a private nation's military force, and that too offensive. We have seen Iraq also, 28 nations attacked Iraq. We have seen Afghanistan also, all the NATO countries combined to put their troops in Iraq, in Afghanistan, right at the doorsteps of India.
Correct.
But there is no, so it's a natural reaction. It's like a karma. If there's an action, there will be reaction. So it is natural that a new military alliance will come up, which will counter NATO. It is natural. So far, it was not existing because people were not threatened. But what they have seen with the financial sanctions and the military actions in Ukraine by the NATO, that other countries need protection, even if something is logically and by law is in favor of the other countries, but still they'll be forced by NATO to accept dictate the terms, business terms generally. So, do you think that possibility coming around in the future?
No, you see, I'll tell you. There is no militarily strong country in Africa. There is no big militarily strong country in East Asia. Uh, we only have US and we have Europe, we have Russia and we have uh, China, which are militarily strong. We have smaller countries. We have Japan, we have Philippines, we have Vietnam, we have South Korea. The thing is, military alliances are coming up. Like with our problem with China, the and Australia also facing some problem with China. The Quad has come up now. The military alliances will come up, but they will be between US and allies and between Russia and allies. I will not say Russia. In fact, Russia and China are getting closer. It is also uh, because of the domination and because of Ukraine war. But the problem between Russia and China is Russia has been number two world power for a very long time after Second World War. It does not want to play a younger partner of China. I mean, it will be a little humiliating, but I think things are reaching a stage where they might they might enter into a military alliance. India will enter or will be forced to enter into military alliance because we have a potent threat from China and Pakistan. Because in any future war, there is a likelihood that Pakistan today is more or like a vassal state of China. So they will combine. So the future war will have to fight on two fronts. So we will be bound to enter into certain military alliances, which will be with the help of possibly uh, US and also Russia. Others are smaller players, so they will not. We have alliance like we have better understanding with Japan today, what we had earlier. We had better understanding with South Korea, which and Vietnam, because they are all facing a little bit of problem with China. So they become our friend by proxy. There will be military alliances, but those alliances will generally be with uh, either with US or with Russia. And I don't think uh, China will enter into a military alliance with any other country because 14 countries with which China has border, I think they do not have a good relation or excellent relation with any of those countries. So we may enter not immediately because we need Europe and US for many reasons, basically for the economic growth. So we may not overtly enter into a military alliance with Russia, but we are still dependent on Russia. Our 60% of military arsenal is still Russian in origin. We are still getting S-400 system. We are still getting from Russia. We are getting oil from Russia. So there will be military alliances, but it will be mainly between three, four world powers. Others are very small players.
See, the moment the Quad was launched, and this is the last question today, AUKUS was also launched. Australia, UK, Canada, and
Correct.
USA.
I know. Okay.
And
True.
AUKUS was also launched. AUKUS was a purely military alliance. And why would a European would like to control the waters in Asia? Yeah, I mean, my question is there. See, China and India can take care of each other. India has enough military strength to take care of China alone. I mean, they don't need any other power to do that. Uh, so, why would a European country be interested in controlling Asian waters? My question to you.
You see, Asian waters is because your 80% trade takes place from water. As simple as that. The Europe has to control the waters. In fact, how do you think Great Britain became or ruled almost the 80% of the world at one point in time? That's because they were a sea power. You see that trade, your trade even today, 80% trade is or uses sea lanes. So that is important to control, very important in fact. And if you want to show your importance, you want to show your military prowess, you will have to control Asian waters. Your two-thirds of humanity lies in Asia. When your economy grows, you will need people to purchase things. Na? They will be largely Asians, which is now a growing economy. So they have to control the waters. This is what China has been trying. You know that 7 days line which they used to talk us and they lost that case in uh, International Permanent Tribunal. The to show your military prowess and your greatness, you have to control waters. That is the most important thing.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you because the trade is through oceans, and that's why there is a need to control the trade. But anyway, my question still remains unanswered. That why? What will be the reason? Why can't local countries control it? And I know China has been hegemonistic to a large extent against India, against all the countries of the region, and therefore Chinese politics itself is responsible for the backlash they are facing all over the world, including. But part of it is also fueled by the West, because the Western agenda is always to keep Asia disunited. And India, they are playing or keeping it friend because they know that they can talk sensibly to India. Like some, they can have negotiation with them or discuss with them, but they are also opposed to a very nationalistic government in India. Very common thing. The West abhors a strong Modi government,
West abhor any strong government because they want a weak government which they can manipulate in
exactly.
many ways.
Now you understand, and like you, many other people will understand. Then why would you allow a foreign military in your backyard?
Which foreign military you are talking of?
I mean, there is an American naval base in Indian Ocean, and there are American naval ships and Australian naval ships in your backyard everywhere, everywhere.
You see, every we
Your video
cannot.
is off. Your video is off again.
You see, we do not control those waters. If they have bases, they have bases. The US has bases. Even China has bases now. You know, they are. We cannot. What do we tell US that don't send your ships in the ocean? We can't do that. You know, I mean, we are not capable of doing that. So we have to lump it. We don't want it. We don't want it, but we cannot ask them to vacate it.
Your video is off.
You know, we don't want them in our backyard, but what can we do about it? We cannot tell the mighty United States that don't go around here. We cannot even tell China because they are either within their own waters or they are in the waters of the neighboring country. And neighboring
Your
countries,
video is
you
off.
see,
Your video is off.
I don't know what is happening. You see, the problem is our neighboring countries are small. They are not militarily very strong. And economically also. You see what is happening in Sri Lanka or Myanmar. You know, they are not economically also strong, and they have to. They need resources. The resources come from big powers, and if the big powers give them resources, which are generally in terms of loan, they don't give freebies. Then they extract their pound of flesh. They will make use of strategic resources, which could be land, seaport, or anything. So that is what is happening. That is
So
what US is doing. This is
I,
what Great Britain has been doing.
I'll give you, so again, it's a sign of weakness then. It's a sign of weakness of India and Asia that they can't unite. Because it's a sign
They
of
can't.
weakness, and also it's a sign of self-pity. We can't do that. They are great
It
powers.
is.
America
Yes, yes, yes.
is self-pity. Like it's a, when India talks about strength, strength only comes from military. Nothing else defines
Nothing
strength
else.
in the world. Nothing else.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Nothing else. And now, like, give you a statistic actually, the European or the Western power, Americans, the West owns, controls 60% of the Earth's land. 60%. And their population is less than 10% of the world, less than 10%. Very unequitable justification. A European colony is Australia, a European colony is New Zealand, European colony is Canada, and the European colony is also United States because United States belongs to Native Americans. And United
Correct.
States changes governments in South America. And these are the same stock of Western Europeans, mostly Western Europeans. And for them, is to say, what's the motherland? The motherland is Italy, motherland is France, motherland is UK. They say like that. Even today, they say
True.
like that I'm an Italian American. I'm this American. I'm only the British origin people say, oh, I'm American because think they are connecting from Britain. So the
True.
point is, my question again is, I mean, the world is inequitable. The world is not same. The world is biased in their favor. Whenever there is inequality like that, there will be never peace because people are not satisfied. It's not going to happen. So the current geopolitics is designed to create conflicts.
It is. You see, at any given point in time, there are 40 major conflicts which are in vogue in the world at any given point in time. The US will never want peace anywhere because the arms industry, where will it sell its arms if there is a peace in the world? It can't be. It is not supposed to be. You see the kind of money which is earned by the arms industry of US. So why would they want peace? And they enjoy changing regimes wherever it is possible. They want to have their say. You see, if I am powerful, that power, you see the nature of power to manifest. So the power must manifest in various ways. So it is a fallacy to think that everybody wants peace. No, they don't want peace. It is only a weak man who would want peace because he can do nothing about anything else. US will never want peace. Britain will never want peace. Half of the European countries will not want peace. They have fought everywhere. So there will be no peace. I mean, it is foolishness to think that there will be peace. Only thing is, there will be conflicts, but manageable conflicts. They should not cross a certain threshold. That is, that should be the purpose, and that will be the purpose. But peace in the world, no, no chance, no chance. There never was. Actually, there is an inequality in nature also. There is no equality in nature. So this is the this is the nature of reality. So anyone who thinks there will be peace, or US wants peace, or Europe wants peace, or NATO wants peace, I mean, it is foolishness. No one wants peace. You just want to manifest your power. You want to grow stronger economically and militarily and technologically, everything must come to you if you are powerful.
So thank you so much, Colonel Khatana, and for all the viewers who are watching this show, do like, subscribe, and share, and let us know your feedback. Your comments are very valuable, and and do subscribe. Let me know. Namaste.
Thank you. It was a wonderful discussion, and you are a very wise man. Thank you very much. And
Thank you.
send me this video on my WhatsApp.
Yes, I
Thank
will
you.
do that.
It is
Thank you.
very, it is
Appreciate
very educative for me too.
it.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
You are really a wise man.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you for giving me this honor of appearing on your show. I
Thank
am
you.
very grateful.
Namaste.
Thank you.